These answer choices are a bit longer than the last one, but it's fine. It's just maybe a slightly harder question. Let's see though when we get in there. The widespread use of social media enables linguists to study changes in language usage in real time. A notable recent example is the proliferation of the affix Meng among speakers of Bahasa Indonesia, the official language of Indonesia. Linguists observe Meng originate as an onomatopoetic tag that social media users applied to images of cats they posted. Over time, users increasingly applied it as a prefix to existing words. Example, whatever, it's there for sad. Okay, in text that they posted. Okay. From there, it has begun to move into spoken Bahasa Indonesia. Linguists have noted many similar examples of this phenomenon occurring in other languages, suggesting that social media, affects language, right? I mean, they're telling this one example, and then they're saying, right, it enables them to study changes. So maybe the social media causes the changes. I don't know. It feels obvious to me. Let's see what we get. A is more useful for studying informal language than for studying formal or official language. No, and the biggest thing here is more useful. This is a comparison. What were we comparing here? We were talking about this phenomenon, and then we were talking about this showing up in this language. We're not ranking different ways of researching language. This is about some specific thing that's happening to languages generally, so we're not really comparing how we would study them. B, it appears to be exerting an exceptionally strong influence on the evolution of Bahasa Indonesian. No, this is a trap. It's just using Bahasa Indonesia as an example. It's not saying that like, oh my God, look at this. This is crazy. Why is no one else doing this? It's just one example they happen to choose. This is something I often call like small versus big, right? They're giving us a small example. We are not allowed to say that this is some like big thing that like makes that example kind of the only example, right? The whole point is that it's just one example and have noted many similar examples, right? So it just undercut in lots of ways. Let's look at C. It may give linguists a somewhat misleading sense of how languages are changing. That sounds very negative. I don't feel like this passage was very negative, right? It's misleading. No, they're studying things and it's changing in different ways, and I don't know, they're studying that. Why is that misleading? D, it does not merely register changes in language usage, but can facilitate such changes. So that's a hard word, but basically, yeah, it's about the changes in the language. So just from a kind of overview standpoint and getting rid of everything else, hopefully confidently, I'm okay with just picking D and being like, yeah, good enough. And that is definitely the answer, because what they're saying is this social media thing allowed this affix Meng to kind of show up, but then it started breaking out of social media and it has begun to move into the spoken language as well. So it does not merely register changes, right? So they're looking at social media posts to say, hey, look at this new word everyone's using. And then it can facilitate, meaning kind of cause or encourage such changes as well, meaning now that it's so popular on social media, it's actually shown up in the real world when people just talk to each other. So that is all there. That is definitely the answer. This is a great kind of logical conclusion to this passage. It basically matches my dumb summary. It affects the language, right? It registers the changes. It facilitates, causes changes. So it's all there. But I'm also doing a lot more work just for the sake of this explanation than I would ever do on the real test. I would have gotten rid of A, B, and C really confidently. D is hitting the right idea. Like, I get it from a vibes standpoint and move on and go to other things. At this point, I guess you'd be kind of done. So you would go back and check things. But yeah, this looks like it's going to be hard, but it's really not. Things like dumb summaries really help us here. I think this is another case where we should have kind of seen where this blank was going. And then, yeah, D is definitely the one that kind of hits our dumb summary.